The following is a presentation of HBO Sports.
So I say to you, gentlemen, let the next era begin.
With those words, Lennox Lewis officially retired as heavyweight champion. The question now, given that Lewis did not lose the title in the ring, just who is the heir to the legitimate championship? Tonight's fighters have emerged as possible successors, but are surrounded by questions of their own. Does Vitali Klitschko have what it takes? Remember, in 2000, a shoulder injury forced him to quit against Chris Bird.
He doesn't have the mentality of a champion.
3 years later, Klitschko's mindset seemed vastly different when he faced off against heavyweight champion Lennox Lewis.
It's just a pure six brawl in there.
He can no longer see. He's fighting on pure heart, Klitschko is now.
A deep gash above Klitschko's eye prematurely ended the fight, with Vitali leading on all three scorecards. That spirited effort and the two-round demolition of Kirk Johnson had many experts forgiving and forgetting the retirement from combat against Bird.
You want to see a heavyweight destroyer? Vitali Klitschko wants to be your man.
Now Vitali has the added pressure of restoring the family name. Younger brother Vladimir's loss to Lehman Brewster 2 weeks ago has his career spiraling downward. A win by Vitali tonight would separate his image from that of Vladimir's forever. The question for Corrie Sanders, was he simply in the right place at the right time? In March of last year, Sanders stepped into the ring against then juggernaut Vladimir.
Klitschko goes down on a huge left hand inside by Corrie Sanders.
Was it one of 2003's biggest upsets? Or was Sanders just the first fighter to expose the younger Klitschko's delicate chin? Tonight, the post-Lewis landscape of the heavyweight division continues to take shape. And the important question is, who will become the next heavyweight champion of the world?
Staples Center in Los Angeles, California for a landmark edition of World Championship Boxing. Tonight, a significant heavyweight title fight, perhaps the fulcrum on which the legitimate heavyweight title picture will turn. Vitali Klitschko against Corrie Sanders, with the winner eyeing the up-for-grabs mantle of People's Heavyweight Champion of the world. In his dressing room, a thoroughly relaxed Corrie Sanders, who all week long has projected an air of casual opportunity, smiling, talking to anyone within reach, pointing out over and over again, there's no pressure on me. All the pressure is in the other dressing room, where Vitali Klitschko, older of the two Klitschko brothers, now faces the singular task left only to him of chasing the supposed Klitschko goal of a World Heavyweight Championship. It is up to Vitali to uphold the family honor tonight. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley. We welcome you to this very significant edition of World Championship Boxing, on which we will cover the latest and last in a series of fights which have so far failed to adequately redefine the post-Lennox Lewis heavyweight landscape. So far, in 3 fights over the course of the past 2 weeks involving 3 of the 4 heavyweight title belts, no clear-cut candidate for the championship has managed to emerge from the rubble. So if it's going to happen in the short run, it will have to happen tonight. There's no guarantee that it will, but perhaps that will be the case. In the next several minutes here, as we get ready to bring you the one and only prize fight we're going to be covering tonight, we'll convene a panel of experts, not to praise the heavyweight division, quite likely to bury it. We will talk to former champion Lennox Lewis, who now looks bigger than ever in a variety of different ways. We'll take a closer look at both of tonight's combatants on the off chance that one of them is going to emerge tonight clearly as the new king. And we'll offer all of you a chance to participate in the question on our HBO website poll for the evening. Log on to www.hbo.com/boxing to answer that question. Who do you consider the heavyweight champion of the world. There are a variety of candidates shown there. For more on the complex heavyweight landscape in the wake of Lewis's retirement, let's go to ringside and HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant.
Thank you, Jim. The question before the House tonight is there a true heavyweight champion in the House? Not just someone with some title, but a big man who moves us by being dominant or perhaps even dangerous. Vitali Klitschko, ranked #1 in the world, fighting the #3 in Sanders, probably has the best chance for such recognition. Chris Byrd, the best American heavyweight, has been inconclusive, to put it charitably, in recent fights. Brewster, who outlasted the younger Klitschko just 2 weeks ago, is a tantalizing mystery. And John Ruiz, the boring Greco-Roman style heavyweight, has even lost to a light heavyweight, although it was Roy Jones. Along about now, we were going to show you the consensus top 10. But after looking at it, we decided not to depress you any further. When I did, I wanted to sell my eyeballs. But the good news is this: we may be entering an era in which one heavyweight emerges, and it hardly matters at all who the contenders or pretenders are. Jim?
All right, thank you very much, Larry Merchant. Once again, tonight's applicants for the job of heavyweight champion of the world: Vitali Klitschko in one dressing room, warming up, and down the hall from him, South African Corrie Sanders, the man who last year knocked out Vitali's younger brother, Vladimir. Perhaps he was simply the first to expose Vladimir Klitschko's delicate chin. You see the graphic there that explains both Vitali Klitschko and Corrie Sanders must be prepared to leave their dressing rooms and walk to the ring for tonight's fight at 6:55 p.m. Until then, we continued the discussion of heavyweight politics. And now we convene a panel of experts to discuss the heavyweight division as it is right now, beginning with the longest reigning of the current title belt holders in the division, IBF titleist Chris Byrd, coming off of a title-retaining draw with Andrew Galata a week ago. Next to Chris, Dan Rayfield, who is the boxing columnist for USA Today and has the job regularly at USA Today of providing rankings for the heavyweight division. You try it sometime if you don't know how difficult it is. And next to Danny is Steve Springer of the Los Angeles Times, who's seen the last two major heavyweight title fights involving the Lennox Lewis title belt of the WBC, to take place here in his own coverage area. Chris, thank you very much for being here to discuss a question that I'm sure you would like to see not open to discussion. So let's give you 20 seconds off the top to state your case as the legitimate champion of the world.
Yeah, I think I am. I'm willing to face any heavyweight in the world. I beat Vitali Klitschko. A lot of people think he just quit. We're in a hurt sport, and you keep fighting. So I feel I'm the best heavyweight in the world because I'm willing to face any heavyweight out there.
All right, we'll find out later from our viewer poll how many people agreed with Chris. Dan Rayfield, surely that is probably a minority opinion rather than the majority view. How are we likely to arrive? By what process will we find somebody who claims the legitimate championship?
Well, a lot of people will think that the winner of the fight tonight between Sanders and Klitschko will be the legitimate champion.
Do you?
I personally don't agree with that. And particularly if Vitali is the winner, I feel like based on the fact that Chris beat him a couple years ago, whatever the circumstances, that if Vitali is the winner, he needs to fight Chris Byrd to clean up that mess and let us know who the champion is. And if Sanders wins, then it's more open for discussion.
All right, well, we'll talk more about what happens in the event of a win by either fighter tonight. Steve Springer, regardless of who emerges from this morass to become the legitimate champion, is he, in your view, the best of a historically weak field?
Well, right now it certainly looks that way. I'd say that Muhammad Ali might be qualified to be champion right now in his present condition. But, you look back when Ali, the title was taken away from him in the late 60s. Joe Frazier emerged, but not right away. When Ali retired, Larry Holmes emerged, but not right away. So we may look back on the next year as kind of a feeling out process, and someone may yet emerge. I just hope it's not John Ruiz.
Chris, is the fierce criticism of the division's fighters right now unfair to those of you who are vying for the crown?
I think so. I mean, I think it's a great time to be a heavyweight. On any given night, it could be a new champ. It's a lot of talent in the division if we fight each other. And that's the thing. We got to get out and fight. And lately, all the heavyweights been fighting.
Well, that brings up a major question, Dan Raphael. He says there's a lot of talent in the division if they fight each other. One problem we're facing here, it seems to me, is that 3 of these belt holders, including Chris, are represented by Don King, who is famous for resisting allowing his fighters to risk their capital against fighters from other promoters, and whoever wins the fight tonight is not promoted by Don King. Does that mean, Dan, that this title is going to be fragmented for quite some time?
Well, Don is the type of promoter that he'll put it together when the money is there. Right now, with all due respect to Chris and to the other guys that hold the belts, I don't think the public is exactly clamoring to see Layman Brewster fight John Ruiz or to see Chris fight those guys. So you have a situation where even if he wanted to put the titles together, it's not exactly a situation where the world is going to pay a lot of money to see it. So he needs to kind of sit around and wait till something emerges that the public wants to see, whether it's the winner of tonight's fight and maybe he can make a deal, or it's somebody else that comes along that we don't know about just
Steve
yet.
Springer, what does the public want out of this, and who do they want to see fighting for the title?
Well, I think the public, wants to see a round robin. I think that Chris Byrd is right in a way. It's not necessary that there has to be a dominant heavyweight right away if there are competitive fights. Now, the question is, can there be competitive fights? Chris's fight with Andrew Galata last week was competitive. John Ruiz's fight was not competitive. So I think it's the quality of the fights. It's not necessarily that one guy has to emerge right away. If Vitali wins, he lost to Chris. If Corrie Sanders wins, he's 38 years old and he lost to Hasim Rahman. So we're not going to get a dominant heavyweight tonight.
Andrew Galata was thoroughly discredited, Chris. I mean, a lot of people called him back from the dead. Now, because of what happened against Layman Brewster for the 2nd time in a year, Vladimir Klitschko is thoroughly discredited. Nobody will pay any more attention to him for the moment as a contender. In this division, is that fair or rational, or could even Vladimir or Galata or somebody else whose capital seems to be gone come back to the top?
Yeah, you can come back. Like I said, on any given night, you could be a new champion. And it's that competitive in the division where it's not one dominant guy, and you better be on top of your game on that night because it could be a new champ.
Dan, is it the considered opinion of most hard-bitten ringside types that Lennox Lewis is going to find it impossible over the long haul to resist coming back for money against this crop of challengers?
Boy, Lennox Lewis was at the John Ruiz-Freza Kendo fight, and he got up and walked out in the middle of it because he said it wasn't just
maybe he paid
fight
for his ticket.
I don't know if he paid for his ticket, but I'm sure if he did, he's probably mad that he did, at least for that fight. So, the lure is going to be there for Lennox, particularly if Vitali is the winner, because their fight last year was such an excellent fight, and the public would probably want to see it again. They wanted to see it again before he retired, and there's no other obvious challenge, again, with respect to Chris, that the public would really get behind. Obviously, Lennox Lewis would be the guy. He said to me in the last few days when I talked to him that he's retired, he's happy, but the more he comes around the fights, the harder it's going to be to resist.
Steve, the name I hear over and over again is Tyson. If by some process, whether valid or not, Mike Tyson is brought back and re-elevated to the top of the heavyweight division, is that good because of his broad fan appeal, or is that bad because he's been thoroughly discredited as a competitor?
I think it's both. I think he immediately attracts huge crowds. He probably has the talent, even at his present skill level, to win one of these titles. But on the other hand, he brings all that baggage with him. There's 2 guys we haven't even mentioned here. James Toney, who's 35 years old, coming off a leg injury. He's chomping at the bit for a shot. And Roy Jones, who knows? He floats in and out of that heavyweight division. He may decide to come back. So you've got 2 guys there, and Tyson 3 guys in the wings.
Or Roy Jones may simply decide never to fight another heavyweight as he goes back to defending his light heavyweight championship again against Antonio Tarver. It all remains to be seen. Chris, Danny, Steve, thanks very much for taking time to be with us. Let's go to Larry Merchant at ringside now with Lennox Lewis.
Thank you, Jim. Lennox, thank you for joining us. You have any regrets? You could have been walking in here tonight making upwards of $20 million for fighting a rematch with Vitali Klitschko?
No, not really. You could say I've been there, done that, and it's been a great run, and I'm very happy with the run, and it's time to stop that and go on and do something else.
Is there any possibility that a year down the road, you wake up one day and you say, God, I can't stand looking at those heavyweights. I can beat them all. I got to take one more shot at it?
No, not really, because, that's what I'm going to say. I can beat them all, so why do I need to go in there and prove it? I think I've already proven all I needed to prove.
Where do you think the next dominant heavyweight is coming from?
I would say the next dominant heavyweight is definitely coming from the amateurs. He has to have an extensive amateur career, then turn professional, obviously go to the Olympics and try and win a gold medal, and then turn to professionals and try and make his mark doing that.
What about Audley Harrison, the Brit who won the gold medal? He's undefeated. Do you think he has the stuff to be a serious heavyweight?
Absolutely. You know, he's got the pedigree already, and that's a gold medal. And if you look at me, I've got a gold medal.
So did Vladimir Klitschko.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I was saying. You know, he may be one of the only heavyweights in history that, you know, will not be a heavyweight champion because of that.
Finally, this. Before Corrie Sanders, who you promote, fought Vladimir Klitschko a year ago, you called him up the night before to cheer him up, lift him up. What have you said to him about Vitali Klitschko from your experience in the ring with him?
Well, I said that Vitali Klitschko is a great puncher, great boxer. He throws a great left-right, and you have to really watch out for that. But, you know, go in there and, you know, throw your punches because you're a southpaw, and he's definitely not used to boxing southpaws. I mean, he could definitely have problems with southpaw because he doesn't know how to box them. So, you know, he's definitely the underdog going into this fight, and he should do well.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the fight.
Thank you.
And so should you, Jim.
There is the man on whom opponent Corrie Sanders says all the pressure falls tonight. Starting 2 weeks ago, at the moment when younger brother Vladimir imploded in the 5th round against Layman Brewster, ring experts began to say that doubles the pressure on Vitali as he goes into the ring to try to win the heavyweight championship of the world. Well, if you follow the business of boxing, our constant search for magnetic human stories, to sell high-priced seats in arenas, to sell expensive pay-per-views, you've known for a long time that one or the other of these Klitschko brothers had this date from the beginning. For a long time on this side of the Atlantic, it was thought that younger brother Vladimir had the inside track. All that changed last year. Now Vitali returns to the scene of his worst defeat, which was also his biggest victory. All-out war. They trade big right hands. Lewis gets the worst of it.
That cut is bad. Klitschko is hurt.
This is Gatti Ward on the highest level on the scale.
And they're stopping the fight.
10 months ago, here in Los Angeles, Vitali Klitschko took Lennox Lewis to the brink. But while a gruesome slash over his eye prevented an upset, Klitschko's courage that night won him something else. A firm place in the hearts of American fans.
The Lennox Lewis fight was very important for me because in this fight I go from the long shadow from Chris Bird fight. I lose my world title against Chris Bird because I torn my ligament in my shoulder. I take a lot of critique after the fight, and just the fight against Lennox Lewis give me a chance to show really fighter heart.
Many experts wrote Vitali off after he quit with a shoulder injury against Chris Bird in 2000.
His courage was questioned in some papers, even on HBO.
Shouldn't a prize fighter be able to fight when he's hurt?
And that was really disappointing for him, very disappointing. And he was very anxious to change this opinion of the American public and of the HBO commentators, and I think he did.
The way he fought against Lennox Lewis captured the imagination of a lot of people, and I think they said, well, this is a pretty brave guy. He's obviously physically a tremendous specimen, so he has a lot of things going for him that the American public could easily get behind, and the fact that he's here all the time. You know, you add that in, you almost start to think of him as one of America's list of fighters.
Vitali now lives in Los Angeles, as does younger brother Vladimir. Both brothers work with Emanuel Stewart, though 2 weeks ago, Vladimir's first fight with the American trainer in his corner resulted in embarrassing disaster.
Klitschko is dead tired. He doesn't even want it anymore.
And now Robert Byrne stops the fight. And that may be the end of the Vladimir Klitschko heavyweight contender story.
My brother lost the fight against Brewster. It's very difficult for my mentality because it's painful for me. It's like my fight.
Though Vitali's recent successes contrast with Vladimir's disappointments, Vitali thinks people continue to confuse the brothers because they look somewhat alike.
Before the next Lewis fight, I remember for HBO, we make this commercial because the people have to know who is who.
I'm Vladimir Klitschko. I'm Vitali Klitschko. I'm not fighting Lennox Lewis. I am fighting Lennox Lewis.
We are brothers, we are close friends. We split our win together and we split our lose together.
Tonight, Vitali attempts to avenge his brother's loss against Corrie Sanders, who knocked Vladimir out a year ago.
He made mistake. He underestimated Corrie Sanders. And Corrie Sanders used this mistake and beat my brother. This fight is very important for me. It's World Championship, it's first point, and second point is family deal.
Tonight's fight, then, can be an ending and a beginning. Like it or not, this could be the end of linking Vitali and Vladimir together as fighters and as marketing entities. And the beginning of Vitali's campaign to claim the title heavyweight champion of the world. Is Vitali tense? Judge for yourself. Meanwhile, we mentioned earlier how relaxed, how unruffled Corrie Sanders has been all week. Case in point, he granted Larry Merchant a dressing room interview less than an hour ago. Tonight, here it is.
Corrie, you've suggested that one brother is like the other brother in that he is going to be vulnerable to big punches. What have you seen that suggests that?
You know, I just believe that Vitali has been never tested proper with big punches, you know. Lennox Lewis didn't call him like he can, and I just believe, you know, he's been never tested like that, and hopefully tonight, you know, it will come my way that I can test him.
Conventional wisdom in this fight is that you have to get him sooner because you can't get him later. Do you have the stamina to go a long fight?
That is not a problem for me, you know. I can go 12 rounds if it's got to come to that way, and maybe tonight will prove it.
You fought about 5 rounds in 3 fights in over 4 years. I mean, don't you have to be battle-tested in the ring to show that?
Sure, you know, but that's the way it comes to me, you know. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds, and like I said, you know, if it's got to go 12 rounds, you know, I can go 12 rounds. But you know, I've showed in this 3, 4, 5 years, 1 fight a year, you know, it did nothing to me.
Tell us about your return to South Africa after you defeated Vladimir. It was the biggest moment of your life. You were very emotional. Recall it for us.
Well, you know, obviously nobody gave me a chance like today also, you know, and it's nice to be the underdog, and, you know, especially when I beat a good fighter like Vladimir, you know, nobody expected, like I said, and, you know, back home it was the first time in my career that people were waiting on the airport for me, you know, and, you know, I just got emotional when I saw the people and my kids.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back. We are live in Staples Center, joined now at our announced position by Larry Merchant. Larry, 2 weeks ago, as we have established here clearly, Vladimir Klitschko, younger brother of Vitali, punched himself out, then was punched out by Layman Brewster. Could the same thing happen to Vitali in this fight tonight?
They aren't the Corsican brothers. The Corsican brothers, from a 19th century novel by Alexander Dumas, were so close that if you stabbed one, the other one bled. Although Vitali was plainly in pain during his brother's travails, he did not go down. Nor did he go down in that battle with Lennox Lewis. Nor, in fact, has he ever gone down. So the conventional wisdom now is that he is the more durable, the tougher, the smarter defensive fighter than his brother. There's one caveat about him, Jim, and that is that he has achieved this status basically on his brave effort against Lennox Lewis. But he lost the fight. And sometimes it can be seriously misleading to judge a fighter based on a lost fight.
Considerably appropriate in this case, since there's a great deal of question as to how much of the real Lennox Lewis was here in Staples June 21 last year. Larry, regular fight fans in our audience will recognize the familiar face of cutman Joe Souza, who's done such great work over the years with Arturo Gatti, who was a hero a year ago here at Staples in helping to keep Vitali in the fight for 6 rounds against Lewis despite that horrible gash, and who was working in Vladimir's corner 2 weeks ago in Vladimir Klitschko's fight against Layman Brewster. Now, within the past 48 hours, we learned that the Klitschkos have removed Joe Souza, and another cut man, Al Gavin, will be in the corner tonight. Why?
Jim, the handlers of Vladimir Klitschko, as well as the fighter himself, are still bewildered why such a finely conditioned athlete would lose his conditioning even before he absorbed any punishment in that fight, and certainly as the fight went on. They feel that Joe Souza did something in the dressing room he had not done before, which was to slather some Vaseline on his legs and arms, and that would close up the pores, theoretically, not let the heat out, and could contribute to a problem in stamina for the fighter. I don't know that they're blaming him for that, but they feel it was inappropriate for what he did, and they felt that they didn't want him in the corner tonight.
How far-fetched is all that?
I don't know. I've spoken to Flip Hamansky and Margaret Goodman, the doctors in Las Vegas, and they've told me that, yes, if you put Vaseline on somebody, it will retain the heat and could contribute to the fact that the body heat cannot get out, and so you would have a stamina problem. But, you know, absent some hard evidence, he punched himself out and got punched out.
All right. Once again, we bring you back to the website poll, your opportunity to vote all evening long. We won't tabulate the results until after tonight's fight is over. Who do you consider the heavyweight champion? Is it the winner of tonight's fight between Vitali Klitschko and Corrie Sanders? Or is it Brewster, who knocked out Vladimir? Or is it Bird, who got a draw last week with Galata after a controversial win over Freso Kendo last year? Or is it John Ruiz, who got a TKO over Okendo last week in a dreadful and difficult fight to watch? All right, thus ends our Heavyweight Championship magazine segment. Now we begin the traditional liturgy that leads up to the prize fight itself, beginning with the tail of the tape. And you can see that Vitali is 6 years younger than Corrie Sanders, 3 inches taller, has an extraordinarily big arm length advantage of 3.5 inches, measured from the armpit to the end of the fist, and outweighs Sanders by perhaps 10 pounds, maybe a little more than that. Corrie weighed in with clothing on, but Sanders significantly heavier than in his appearance against Vladimir Klitschko last year in Germany, Larry.
He was 225. I would say a quick snapshot of the two fighters. Klitschko looks the hungrier fighter.
Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, the very hungry Harold Letterman.
The Vitali Klitschko Corrie Sanders fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules that you see on your screen. Jim, there are 2 California rules that I'd like to point out that are enforced tonight. 1, the doctor or the referee has the authority to stop the fight. 2, if the doctor comes in to examine a fighter in between rounds, they call timeout. So therefore, you may have more than the 1-minute conventional rest period. Jim.
All right, thank you, Harold Letterman. And how's this for topsy-turvy? The career of Corrie Sanders. 17 months ago, November of 2002, Corrie Sanders appeared on the undercard in Oklahoma City. The 4th fight on the undercard, where the main event was a battle between 140-pounders Sharmba Mitchell and Vince Phillips. He knocked out an unknown heavyweight opponent named Otis Tisdale. Since that fight, with only one more fight in his career, he has vaulted from those dispossessed circumstances to fighting for the heavyweight title. It might be the most precipitous leap in the history of the division.
He admits that he is a classic underachiever. He loves his life in South Africa. He owns a game farm of around 2,500 acres. If you care to go over and shoot a buffalo on his game farm, it'll cost you $20,000.
He's a good enough golfer that there have been ecstatic suggestions that maybe he heads for the PGA Tour or the Seniors Tour after this. All of that, of course, way down the road. Tonight, he'll be putting and driving for the championship of the world. Sanders' critics say he's a 4-round fighter. But even if that's true, in those 4 rounds, look out.
Yeah, I don't know if there's ever been a more powerful left-handed fighter.
Only Michael Moorer would be in the same league.
Right, and I believe Klitschko said that he had never fought a southpaw even as an amateur. And they just don't see the punches coming sometimes.
Well, a year ago in Germany, it was the opinion of many that younger brother Vladimir didn't see the punches coming. And here's the reception for Vitali Klitschko in the house that Klitschko built a year ago.
People have asked him if he is defending the Klitschko name, if somehow he has to deal with all of this pressure of the two fighters who are going to take over the world, and suddenly there's only one of them. He says he's tried to build a wall around his emotions, but when I interviewed him a week ago, Jim, I thought I saw his eyes get watery when we talked about the subject.
Let me say this, Larry, as I picked up on the fact that he enters the ring to the Eagles Hotel California, this fight tonight could be heaven or it could be hell for Vitali Klitschko. Let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Staples Center, Los Angeles, California, USA, where tonight K2 Promotions presents the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing for the vacant WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World. Brought to you in association with Universum Box Promotions and AEG, and sponsored by Pechanga Resort Casino and your undisputed king of beers, Budweiser. Sanctioned by the California State Athletic Commission, Chairman Sanford Michaelman, Vice Chairman Chris Mears, WBC President Jose Suleiman. The scoring will be done from ringside by 3 judges using the 10-point system. The judges assigned are from South Africa, Alfred Bugwana. From the United States, Marty Denkin. From Belgium, Daniel van de Wiel. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action from California, USA, John Shorley. And now, from Staples Center, Los Angeles, California, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing black. His official weight, 245 pounds. His professional record, 33 victories, including 31 knockouts with only 2 defeats. From Kiev, Ukraine, the #1 ranked WBC heavyweight contender and former WBO World Heavyweight Champion, Vitali Dr. Iron Fist Klitschko. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white, and he officially weighs 235 pounds. He has a professional record consisting of 39 victories, including 29 knockouts with only 2 defeats. Fighting out of Pretoria in the New South Africa, the #2 ranked WBC contender and former WBO heavyweight world champion, Corrie, the Sniper Sanders.
Sanders, Klitschko, пожалуйста. Chief second only, chief second only. Chief second. You gotta go back. Chief second only. Okay, guys, this is for the WBC Heavyweight Championship. I expect a good, clean fight from both of you. Я желаю вам обоим хорошего и чистого боя. Obey my commands at all times and protect yourselves at all times. Слушайте мои команды и защищайтесь. Touch gloves, good luck. Удачи.
2 weeks ago, Jim, the fighter who could give better than he could take, Vladimir Klitschko, was beaten by the fighter who could take better than he could give, Lamont Brewster. you wonder if we might get a similar scenario here. In this scenario, Vitali Klitschko is thought to be able to take, and Corrie Sanders is the one who can give.
And you talked about Sanders' generous tummy and loose chest, both now visible in the ring, particularly in contrast to the statuesque Vitali, who is mostly muscle out there. Sanders' body and the nature of his muscles, great for golf. Not all that bad for boxing if what you want is speed. And there's the first left hand up the pipe for Corrie Sanders. Let's see if Vitali comes back with a straight right hand down the middle.
Sanders is looking to counterpunch, trying to lure Klitschko into throwing something.
Reaching across the top with the left. Klitschko coming back with a left of his own. Sanders hasn't landed anything solid so far. Vitali Klitschko going after Sanders a little bit more aggressively now with the jab.
Nice right hand to the body by Klitschko. The ample body of Corrie Sanders.
Sanders in a corner. Doesn't look nearly at ease in there to the degree that he did a year ago in Germany against Vladimir Klitschko. Maybe already he feels like this is a different thing, but Sanders lands a left and now lands a quick right over the top.
Already you can see the difference between the Klitschkos and how Vitali is more defensive when Sanders goes on the offensive.
Vitali Klitschko landed two stiff jabs, stopped Sanders as he wanted to approach. Now a right hand across the top from Sanders as he traded with, or I check it from Vitali, as he traded with Sanders and had the longer punch. Vitali able to tie Sanders up as he gets inside trying to throw a quick left.
There you saw Klitschko blocking the left with his right.
Most of Sanders' knockouts come from the left hand, although he did knock out one man a few years ago with a right uppercut. There's a big left hand from Sanders, and Vitali Klitschko took it pretty well and comes back with a right of his own. Takes another left. The thunder has begun with a minute to go in round one. Now the landed punches mean something.
I got you. Step back.
Vitali trying to hook pin jab, now lands a straight right hand up the middle and backs Sanders up. First round much kinder to Vitali Klitschko against Corrie Sanders than was the case last year for younger brother. Hard left hand, staggers Vitali. Vitali Klitschko staggered by Sanders left. Vitali trying to hold on as Sanders tries to follow up. 10 seconds to go in the round. And it's not going to be called a knockdown.
That short, hard left hand by Sanders. There's nothing like it in boxing. Late in the round, as Sanders is deliberately trying to bait Klitschko in and succeeds in setting that trap, landing that short, hard left hand. From another angle, same punch.
Klitschko seemed just about to decide that Sanders didn't have much tonight and that he might go after him a little bit when he was abruptly met with the left hand. Most of the offense in the first round scored by Vitali. He was 15 out of 33 punches by CompuBox for 45%. Sanders threw 52 punches, landed only 15, but landed more power connects. Vitali worked behind the jab, which Corrie basically didn't bother with. right hand attempt by Vitali Klitschko. That Sanders left failed to make clean contact. Vitali just dodging the straight left that time. Squared up against the ropes, lands a right hand, and now grabs Sanders around the shoulder. Big miss by Sanders, a couple of little taps by Vitali.
The way Sanders is already breathing hard, he's counting on catching Klitschko in the first third of the fight, if not the first half.
Sanders is either already tired or playing possum, one of the two. He's walking flat-footed, showing little energy, and we're only midway through round 2. Body shot by Vitali Klitschko. Sanders standing as though he's sizing up a 5-iron to the green. But he could be getting ready to lash out with one of those. Body shots by Sanders, backing Vitali off. Vitali goes back after it. 2 jabs and a right hand. Klitschko seems to have judged that Sanders is tired. Straight right hand by Vitali Klitschko.
Folks, this is heavyweight boxing. 2 whales wailing away at each other.
There's a little mouse under the right eye of Sanders already. Perhaps from Klitschko's jab. And a straight right hand lands flush for Vitali. The right hand straight was the best punch of the fight so far for Vitali Klitschko. Out here, the reach advantage comes into play. And the right hand lands again. Straight right hand again for Klitschko. Sanders not doing much in round 2. Seemingly low on energy.
Just waiting for the home run. He seems everything that he is doing depends on one punch.
And Sanders having to reach a little farther now to try to get in a big shot. That diminishes the power. Crowd is up. Again, they've been on their feet after both of the first 2 rounds. They like what they're getting for the money.
Hey, druk en ik slik niet, man.
Die Arme umreihen und drauflegen.
If you can speak German, you may understand what trainer Fritz Zedinek is saying to Vitali Klitschko. You also see younger brother Vladimir offering his own advice through the ropes from an angle. Vladimir may be relaying advice from Emmanuel Stewart, who's sitting with him and offering observations. In round 2, Klitschko with an 18-6 edge and connects according to CompuBox. Sanders slowed down precipitously in the second round. Sanders looks like the journeyman Corrie Sanders, who was supposed to have been a perfunctory opponent for Vladimir Klitschko last year in Hanover, Germany.
But already we've seen how Vitali Klitschko is a more resourceful fighter than his young brother. He has a sense of when to hold him and when to fold him.
He doesn't throw 70 punches around. He doesn't go in there and sell out his 6'7" body the way his brother has a tendency to do.
Yeah, he fights at a more appropriate pace for a giant man.
People used to be frustrated with Lennox Lewis's relatively cautious style sometimes. But Lewis knew that at 6'5" and 250 pounds, he couldn't go in and unload every weapon in his repertoire. Vitali fights more like that. Sanders looks dead tired. His arms are at his waist. as Klitschko looks for a chance to land something big. There's the hard left hand by Sanders.
Followed by 2 more.
3 of them right in a row. 2 of them connected, and Vitali felt them. And now Vitali gets in a good straight right hand and steps away as Sanders flailed at the ropes. Round 3 of the scheduled 12. Nobody expects this to go 12. Big left hand from Sanders. Stuns Vitali. Klitschko backing up in trouble. Gets hit again. Last minute of the 3rd round, Vitali Klitschko starts to hold on. There's a mouse under Vitali's left eye. Slugfest in the center of the ring. Can Sanders land another big one? Hard right hand by Vitali Klitschko. Another one. Sanders takes them both pretty well. 3rd straight right hand by Vitali, and he steps away before Sanders can set the left. 2 more. Sanders misses with the big left. Vitali pounds him twice with the right hand. And some lefts. Big right hand by Klitschko.
Whoa! This is one of the best heavyweight rounds we have seen in years.
And they're on their feet again at Staples Center.
Vitali, don't be sleepy. Use your left hook more. You also have to use the right, and you're on the right track. Keep on going like that.
Sanders waiting all round to throw one burst, try to end the fight. The punch did not land square. You can see Klitschko backing up, taking his measure and coming back with straight rights and lefts. This is going to come down to conditioning and will if it keeps up for another round or 2.
We go to the 4th. Harold, how do you have it scored through the first 3?
Okay, Jim. 2 rounds to 1. 29-28. Vitali Klitschko. The first round you had to give to Corrie Sanders. He staggered Vitali, looked real good. He seems to fight a lot better, Jim, when he's coming forward. A lot of southpaws are like that. When they're moving forward, they're a lot better. Vitali backed them up in rounds 2 and 3, certainly landed the harder shots.
And CompuBox numbers are beginning to reflect the far higher level of activity for Vitali Klitschko, as Sanders is clearly out there trying to land the one big shot.
And Vitali going to the body as he sees an opponent in front of him who doesn't look like he can go a hard 12 rounds.
Incidentally, the subject of the name, and I'm the one who should tackle this because I've been all over the ballpark. It started out as Vitali. Then they told us to use Vitali. It turns out Vitali was a marketing ploy in Germany, where Germans, because of their language predilection, have difficulty saying Vitali. So it became Vitali. And at one point we were told to say Vitali. Now he lives in America. He's back to being Vitali. Vitali is what he was as a boy. Vitali is what we'll call him from now on. Action slowing. Crowd booing, no doubt asking Sanders to trade a little more. Klitschko stalking and stalking.
I've counted 4 or 5 good body punches by Klitschko in this round.
Larry, Corrie Sanders insists that in the 13 months since he fought Vladimir Klitschko, he was in the gym 3 hours a day most of the time. But that's not the same as getting ready to fight a prize fight.
Yeah, and let's remember, he is 38 years old. He's been largely inactive. He was a tremendous athlete as a boy. He tells us he ran an 11-second 100 meters, golfer, etc. He depends a lot on his natural ability rather than biting down and getting 100% of himself.
Ran out of gas against Hasim Rahman in a fight in 1999 in which he nearly knocked Rahman through the ropes. It was another situation in which his power was dominant early, but then he ran into the fatigue problem. And at that point, Sanders acknowledges, he says, you know, I thought it was over for me. Then 11 American heavyweights turned down the chance to go to Germany to fight Vladimir. And Sanders was finally the one who said yes for 125 grand. Best deal he ever made. Corrie Sanders didn't do much in the 4th round. Vitali Klitschko didn't do much waiting for Corrie to do something. Each Friday night, it's on the record of Bob Costas among next week's guests, CSI's William Peterson. May 8th, World Championship Boxing featherweight title holder Juan Manuel Marquez versus Barrera beater Manny Pacquiao. May 15, HBO pay-per-view Roy Jones against Antonio Tarver. Their first fight was the toughest of Roy's career. And May 22, Floyd Mayweather moves up to 140 pounds to take on DeMarcus Chop Chop Corrie. The former heavyweight champion of the world who stepped away. Crowd here responding to the picture of Lennox on the Jumbotron. Many of those who are booing are those who rooted for Vitali Klitschko against him in here last year. In the 4th round, by CompuBox numbers, Corrie Sanders only threw 12 punches. That's the equivalent of barely showing up.
Well, maybe he's trying to refuel and just took the round off.
If Sanders isn't going to experience something like a second wind, it appears that Vitali Klitschko could walk home from here if he can simply avoid Corrie's big left hand. That's not what anybody wants to see. There's a big right hand by Vitali. And more, as his left eye swells, it looks as though Vitali Klitschko will try to go for a finish. Many believed that the left eye, so badly ripped open by Lennox Lewis, would break open at first contact here. That hasn't happened. Good left hook around the guard. It's starting to look a little like a bad sparring session, although the danger is always there as long as Sanders can throw the left.
It's a one-shot strategy he seems to be following now. He's not even making a pretense at trying to win rounds.
Big swing by Sanders, misses big. Vitali Klitschko's confidence is growing as he watches what's in front of him. 3 bashing power shots by Vitali. Sanders better land something soon.
We'll give this to Sanders. He's taken some stiff shots on his whiskers, and he keeps working forward right here. Bloody-nosed as he is.
Blood trickling from the left nostril of Sanders. Now Sanders manages to maneuver Vitali into a corner, but Klitschko punches his way out. Straight right hand lands. Sanders is able to get in a right hook. It's the left hand Vitali has to worry about. Big right hand lands for Klitschko.
Sanders is hurt.
He wobbled on that one. Vitali's trying to put his man down. Sanders wobbles with 10 seconds left in the round. Referee watching closely. Looks like Corrie's going to make it out of the round, but none the better for wear. Big shots down the stretch. Blood streaming from both Sanders' nostrils. Vitali Klitschko closing in on the heavyweight title here.
keep on going with your left hook and then use your right. You're right on track. You have him right now.
Give me that back.
Yeah.
Only passing.
Just be careful when he's coming with his left, but otherwise it looks very good.
Down there again. Excellent control.
Fighting resourcefully, showing discipline. When the opportunities present themselves, Klitschko goes for it.
Round 5 was a withering round for Corrie Sanders. Vitali Klitschko, by CompuBox numbers, landing 38 out of 57 punches. That's 67%. Corrie Sanders, by CompuBox numbers, landed 1 out of 16. So it was a huge round for Klitschko. And it'll be interesting to see if Harold Letterman scored at 10-8.
I scored at 10-8.
Round 6 of his scheduled 12. What does Sanders have left? Vitali Klitschko going mostly with the right hand to try to seal the deal here, but the big left hook lands there across the ropes.
When a man can punch like Sanders, he always holds out hope. And that keeps him going and taking such fire. We saw George Foreman do that in the late stages of his career. He would take awesome punishment because he believed that if he can get to his opponent, he could change the fight.
Sanders gets in a left as Vitali Klitschko, getting offensive, opened himself up. Corrie Sanders re-energized for a moment after getting in that left. Vitali's trying to stem the tide with his right hand. Puts him straight. Oh, big left hand knocks Vitali back. What a comeback it would be for Sanders if he came back and won the fight after what happened in the last round. A bloody Corrie Sanders trying to close in and finish Vitali Klitschko. May not get another chance.
Both bloody now, Jim.
But the blood is not coming from Klitschko's left eye. It's coming from his mouth.
Correct.
Sanders gets in another left, but Vitali handled that one pretty well. Manages to slip that left hand. Big right hand by Klitschko. Sanders still coming. Boy, Corrie Sanders has a beard. He took a giant shot right there, right on the button. Another one. And another one. Neither of those landed as cleanly as the first. Big left hand swing by Sanders, and Klitschko gets in a couple more. How much longer can Corrie Sanders take those right hand bombs? This is the round in which Vitali's spirited bid against Lennox came to an end. He's managed to come back in this round from having taken a big left-hand shot in the first minute. And it's Klitschko dominating again as the round comes to a close.
You think any of the other heavyweight titleists can evoke these kinds of cheers?
No. Nicht Abschlagabtausch gehen. Bewege dich raus zur Seite, okay? Links raus und dann die rechte hochziehen. Nicht mitgehen. Nicht den Schlagabtausch suchen. Wenn er ist, oben drin sein Sicherheit. How you doing, Corey?
Sanders got something going a little early in this round, but he really didn't have the energy to follow up on it because Klitschko was smart enough to go on the defensive and pull himself together so he could land punches like that.
Once again, the CompuBox numbers one-sided. Klitschko landing 37 out of 63, 59%, 29 of them power shots. Sanders has taken some very big stuff. He landed 8 out of 37, but one of them was that left-hand shot. Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim. 5 rounds to 1, 59-55, Vitali Klitschko. Jim, tactically, he's fighting a very, absolutely beautiful fight. Corrie Sanders tips off when he's going to throw that left hand by coming forward. Vitali Klitschko just circles to the left when he knows Corrie's going to throw to the left, so that Corrie Sanders has to reach, and he can't hit him. He can't hit Vitali. Vitali murdering him with that jab.
Good left-hand counter by Klitschko off the right hook by Corrie Sanders. And he showed a little quickness with that. Klitschko dropping his left hand. He may be tiring now a little bit also. Seemingly not nearly as tired as Corrie Sanders, who has fought only in bursts. Crowd is chanting, Vitali, Vitali, Vitali. Now the South Africans come back chanting Corrie, Corrie, Corrie.
The Ukrainian and the South African fighting in Los Angeles.
Of course. They trade big shots again, but it looks as though Sanders might be running out of a little steam with those punches. That time he landed a left hand and it didn't bother Vitali at all. Another left-hand try by Sanders, partially blocked by Vitali Klitschko. Hard right hand to the body. Vitali Klitschko just trying to stay out of the way and land enough combinations to wear this man down.
Relatively few clinches in this fight.
I got you. Step back.
Technique is fading. You got a little bit more of a brawl now. Vitali shows you a little variety as he goes upstairs, then back to the body. Sanders tries two more big sweeps.
I don't recall Sanders throwing a meaningful body punch in this fight.
Well. Okay, doctor's just going to look at him. All right. Okay.
He's fine.
Je moet hem try vangen, boy.
That's great, Vitali. Be still patient, be careful. Don't get into much counter-punching. You will do it. Trust yourself.
You know, we've always kind of thought of Corrie Sanders as a gentleman fighter, Jim, who comes out once a year, fights, goes back to his farm, goes back to his golfing, but he has shown us that there is a warrior inside him as well.
No quitting, Corrie Sanders. He still has that big left-hand chance to win the fight. Klitschko lands. Sanders just walks away, gathers himself, tries to wait to throw one more big punch. First couple of rounds were scintillating. Action has slowed recently. They bump heads against the ropes as Klitschko lands another big right hand to the body. Corrie Sanders is having to walk through a lot of stuff here. to try to get close to throw something. And he misses wildly with another big left. And now these lefts are not straight lefts, but roundhouses. And just as I say that, he lands a thudding straight left.
Step back.
Now he throws the right. For the first time in the fight, it seems Sanders has thrown a couple of meaningful right hands.
And they're trading big time again. Just when I said the action had slowed, now they're trading power shots. Vitali landed a right, Sanders landed another left. Straight right hand stops Sanders in his tracks. Left hook lands, right hand lands. What a show of courage by Corrie Sanders as he takes shot after shot with blood streaming down his face.
Just a brawl, a heavyweight brawl.
Good, quick left hook by Vitali. Sanders can't get off a punch. Sanders flailing like a drunken sailor there.
He's ready to go, Jim.
And Vitali Klitschko is going to try to finish it right here. Unbelievable show of courage by Corrie Sanders.
What keeps him up? That's it.
Finally, the referee rescues Sanders, and Vitali Klitschko stakes his claim.
That, folks, once again, was heavyweight boxing.
So far in his career, Vitali Klitschko has fought 13 time capsule rounds of heavyweight boxing in Staples Center here in Los Angeles. For a guy who wanted to move from Ukraine to LA, he's done it in style. And this crowd, for the moment, has chosen its champion. Here's another look at the closing action. Finally, in the 8th round, Corrie Sanders' left hand was no longer really rocking Vitali Klitschko. And as Klitschko realized that Sanders had completely run out of gas, he cornered him against the ropes and began systematically to break him up. And at that point, California referee John Shoro stepped in and said, "Enough. I'm not going to let him keep hitting you at will." So it's a TKO victory and a heavyweight title belt, and maybe something even much bigger than that for Vitali Klitschko. And here's Michael Buffer with the official particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight here at Staples Center, 17,320 fans came to see a world heavyweight title contest, and they saw a great one. Before we go to the official time, a round of applause for this gentleman from South Africa who refused to quit, Corrie Sanders. Referee John Shorley steps in and calls a halt to the contest at 2 minutes and 46 seconds of round number 8. The winner by knockout victory, and now the WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Vitali Dr. Iron Fist Klitschko.
Surely the first heavyweight champion with a PhD. Surely the first heavyweight champion who speaks 5 languages. He'll never be pretty. It was not a beautiful affair, but it was a resolute and serious performance by Vitali Klitschko in pursuit of glory. He wound up landing 179 more punches than Sanders. He threw nearly 200 punches more than Sanders, and he connected at an astonishing 56% connect percentage. He built that percentage way up after Sanders simply dropped his hands in fatigue and walked around taking punches, hoping he could land something big. Power shots. And of those 42 power shots landed by Sanders, not enough of them were the straight left hands that could conceivably have won him the fight. most of Vitali Klitschko's 171 power shots, straight right hands and left hooks, and in both instances he was very effective. And the 60% connect percentage tells you that at the end, it was only a matter of time for the 6'7" man who now occupies part of the heavyweight title picture and maybe will become the people's champ. Here's Larry Merchant with Vitali Klitschko.
Thank you, Jim. Congratulations, Vitali. You've always aimed your career at being a champion. What do you feel and think about this fight, having won the title?
First of all, I want to say thank you very much for everybody who support me in this fight, who believe in me, and right now I have the title. I have my goal, I have my dream, and I'm proud to be world champion.
Tell us about the fight and your plan to go in. Did you feel that he would not have the stamina to go for 12 rounds and that therefore you could be patient?
I know it was one of strategy plan. I think Corrie Sanders tried to make shot explosion against me and tried to go a little bit long, and after that the next one explosion, and actually I prepared for that, and I underestimate him a little bit because his right hand very, very fast.
So you planned for him to fight in those short bursts and in hopes that he could catch you with his left hand. That was the plan.
I tried to fight him in second round, and actually it was not a great idea because Corrie have much fastest hands.
You've never fought a southpaw. He had those fast hands. Did you feel you could just simply be patient and break him down? And were you surprised that he took so many punches?
He took so many punches, unbelievable. Sometimes I have my pain in my right fist, and actually Corrie Sanders stay and make the counter combination. I was surprised.
Do you feel in any way that this helped to redeem the Klitschko name? That people, when they think of Klitschko's now, will think more than one thing, they'll think of you?
It's not just my dream. It's win for two brothers Klitschko, for me and for Vladimir, because I'm more than sure Vladimir will be world champion. Right now, his dream a little bit, he has a little bit long distance to his dream, and I'm more than sure Vladimir have biggest potential in heavyweight in the world.
What are you looking forward to next?
It's very difficult questions. I hope the Lennox Lewis make comeback, because it's exactly the same arena, the same ring. 10 months ago, Lennox promised to me to fight rematch, and I know Lennox is gentleman, and I hope Lennox make comeback in this second fight. Want to see everybody, so many millions.
Yeah, but what if he doesn't come back? Will you try to fight all the other fighters with titles, or do you think now that you will be recognized as the champion of the world?
I hope, because recognizing of the people is the biggest title. If people accept me, I will be fight against another one champion, because I want to fight against another one champion, because I have a dream. We have a dream together with my brother to take all heavyweights belt in our family. Let's see what happens. It's just plans. I don't know what happens tomorrow, and nobody know, and I hope. It's
a sure thing you won't forget tonight, tomorrow, or for a long time. Thank you very, very much for a great fight, Vitali.
Thank you for everybody for support.
Thank you. And finally, just a word. We've been saying, bring us giants in the heavyweight division. Bring us real heavyweight prize fighting. Tonight, we saw giants. One giant especially, in Vitali Klitschko, achieving what probably is going to be the recognized heavyweight champion of the world. The one heavyweight out there that when he fights, you and the rest of us are going to want to see. Jim?
All right, thank you, Larry. The last 2 weeks have been extremely painful for the Klitschko family. Finally, tonight, in the wake of this victory, the happiness returns. And Larry mentioned the possibility that, as you see Vladimir Klitschko, the younger brother, celebrating Vitali's victory with trainer Emanuel Stewart, Larry suggested maybe Vitali will be seen as the legitimate heavyweight champion of the world, and there's your answer. A resounding vote in favor of the man who beat Corrie Sanders tonight. The People's Heavyweight Championship of the world belongs not to us in mass media, and surely some reporters will be considerably more reluctant than are you, the public, to go ahead and endorse Vitali Klitschko. But the numbers you saw there are indelible. For the moment, it is clear. You, the public, voting on our website, chose Vitali Klitschko tonight as the heavyweight champion. It's not the end of the story, it's just the beginning. We'll see where it goes from here. Let's look ahead to some upcoming programs here on HBO.